Hey guys, I'm Stephanie. Let's learn how to take photos of yourself at home. Alright, so many of you guys requested that you wanted to learn how to take photos of yourself at home, and so I figured I would do a couple of different things for you. First up is I talk about the basics. Next up, for the phone users, I'm going to show you guys how I take photos of myself on my own phone. Thirdly is for all the photographers to be able to use your actual camera at home. Let's get started. Alright, first things first is setting up. So find an area in your home that has good lighting. I personally recommend 2 lighting sources. So you can see one lighting source coming in here next to me. There's also another lighting source that's coming in behind the camera that's helping to light from this way. This is my personal favorite way of doing things, but if you guys have like a outdoor porch, or at the very least one lighting source that's kind of coming almost directly on you, that's the best way to have this set up. Now, obviously it's even better if your spouse or your significant other, or even one of your kids, is available to take a photo of you, but since that's not always the option, I'm going to be talking all of today about if you were to do this all yourself on your own. Here's a little hot tip for you guys for when you're finding the perfect lighting area, is genuinely take your phone, put it into selfie mode, and go in a 360-degree circle looking at your face. That's how you'll figure out where you have the best light. Little tip right there for you. But next up is going to be the backdrop, because we really want to ensure that the backdrop is not taking over you. I know that this seems counterintuitive, but you don't necessarily want like a plain backdrop. That's really more of like those school headshot kind of looks, where we all know, like there's some kind of backdrop, you're sitting here, it's very stiff, your shoulders go this way, your head goes this way. I'm talking more about lifestyle photos. These are the ones that get more audiences engaged no matter what. So when it comes to the backdrop, yes, you still want it to be within your home. This is my home, obviously, but I've enhanced the backdrop just a little bit, as in I cleaned it up. So I used to have a lamp that was in the corner, that's now moved off to the side. I used to have a basket of blankets right here, and I moved that off to the side. These are little simple changes that you can make that ensure that, again, the whole point of this is to make sure that your backdrop is not taking over you. You still have to be the focal point of the photo. If you're using an element around you, one of my favorite things to do is use a laptop, well, because I'm on it all of the time. But one of the things I would do is I would actually put the laptop off to the side, and you want it to be up just a little bit probably so that you can see that it's a Mac laptop, and you're going to look like you're typing on it. So you might just be sitting here and you might get a camera shot that looks like, or it looks like, or just looks like. And again, I get that these are all very simple things, but they can make a world of difference in how the overall impact of the photo looks. So don't feel like you have to be so stiff and it has to be just of you. Feel free like you can use the elements that you would use in your everyday life. That actually leads me to the next part, which is all about posing. Now, if you're a woman, particularly if you're a woman like me, I don't like my hips. My hips are fairly big, so in case you can't tell, they're always the furthest away from the camera, because whatever is closest to the camera is going to be more enhanced. Hence, the hair's always looking big here. I think it actually is a little bit tame today, and I'm very happy about that. Next up is definitely the smile. I don't know how many people have it, but everybody seems to do this camera-ready smile that I talk about, which is always just, there's like nothing here. There's no enjoyment in the eyes. You're just very clearly like, you've done this for a million years, and this is just the smile that you know works. Now, I'm going to want to enhance that just a little bit. Just try it out for me, people. I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds kind of dumb, but it works so well. It's called the fake laugh. Every photographer might have you do it, well, at least the photographers I know. And what they're asking you to do is to literally fake laugh at the camera. So when you're doing that, instead of just being just very stiff and just, you want to make sure that you're laughing. So you're going to hear this, and feel free to chuckle at this, but you're just going, and now all of a sudden I've got the joy in my eyes that I want. I'm inviting my audience in, and in all honesty, they're gonna see me laughing and joking around with them anyways, so it just makes a lot of sense to do. It's one of the best ways that I've ever gotten my couples to look and feel a little bit more at ease, because people feel weird in front of the camera, and if you feel like you can't laugh, then it just gets way too stiff in my opinion. So I always have people fake laugh. Try it out for yourself at home. Enjoy feeling goofy. All right, let's get to the iPhone, because I know that's what you guys are so interested in. The simplest way to do this is to set your phone up, and this doesn't have to be iPhone, it can be, I'm sorry, Android as well. I just have an iPhone. Set your phone up on self timer. Feels weird, looks great. I usually set mine up for a 10-second self timer because I want that little bit of extra time to look at myself in the camera to make sure that what I'm photographing looks okay first. Next up is finding something to put your phone on. This is a tripod. It's just a little one off of Amazon that I think I bought for $15 at most. I think most of them you can find for $10 or less. But I wanted one that was a little bit taller. So I can literally set my phone up now like this and put it at the exact angle I want it at. Now, if you don't have something like this, I'd recommend putting your phone on maybe a basket and setting it up like that. I'd recommend propping up some books or figuring out a different way to take photos of yourself where this is stationary. Again, the self-timer mode is the best mode to have it in. The last thing with the phone is that it takes editing to get the kind of photo you want. My personal favorite apps to use are obviously Lightroom because I'm a photographer, or an app like Snapseed, which I think still exists. I haven't used it in a long time, but at the time it was a free app. And it just allows for slight enhancements to a photo, which is why you're doing all of the work beforehand to make sure that the lighting is good, the background is good, your outfit looks great, and that your setup is on point. It's all of those little things that add up to a good photo. All right, photographers, let's talk about you and how to get photos of yourself, because so many of us want to have like our spouse take photos of us, or be able to hand it off, but we don't necessarily feel comfortable with that. There's two ways you can go about this. First off is that I have had my mom, my brother, my best friend, and my boyfriend take photos of me whenever I have needed. I have set up the camera and all of the settings. I have told them what to do. They have then just done it. I've gone and looked at the back of the camera. We've redone it a couple of times, I'm not gonna lie. But again, I want to make sure that what we're talking about here today is also that way you can do it yourself, should you not have access or not have a significant other who is willing to help you in this. That's okay. You don't need to do this, you can do this on your own. So, I have my camera here, and you're going to choose your lens. I personally, if I'm ever taking photos of myself, I'll use my 35 Sigma Art millimeter, or I will use my 50 millimeter, also Sigma Art. And those are my two favorite lenses. Now, what I'm going to say is probably really counterintuitive for what a lot of us know when we are taking photos, because this is different when you set up a camera on your own. So I set up self-timer. I am setting up a 10-second timer on this. There are also intervals that I can do here on my camera, and I'm not sure if every single camera can do that, but you can at least do the timer. Next up is that I am taking my focus off of autofocus to manual focus. And the reason for that is I do not want my camera to try and find whatever spot it feels like finding if I don't always get the focus correct the first time. Next up, the thing that seems counterintuitive, this is again that camera geeky talk. If none of you are interested in it, I totally get it. But a lot of the times I'm shooting my portraits on 2.8, 2.2, 2.0, or sometimes even down to 1.8, depending on how creamy and bokeh I want the background to be when I'm using either the 35 or 50 millimeter lens. And for this, I up that aperture a lot. So I go to at least, let me see what it was just on. It was just on 3.5. Yeah, it was just on 3.5. I have gone up to 4.5 just to make sure that everything's in focus. Again, that's why I have things in manual focus though, so that way I'm not worried about trying to figure this out. Now, I get it. Most of you are probably asking me, well, okay, but how do you set up your camera, put it in manual focus, and make sure it's going to focus on exactly where your face is going to be? Here's how I do that. Literally, it sounds so dumb, but I will take something that will be in the same plane as my face is, because this is a camera. So I would take something, let me see, oh, here we go. Let's take some flowers. Actually, these are not real flowers. But I would take this and I would place it in the same plane of field that I want my face to be in. So if I knew I was sitting in this chair and this is where I was going to take a photo, I would set these up right here. I would make sure that this is in focus, and because I have the aperture in 3.5 or 4.5, I know that if my face is not exactly 100% lined up with where this was, that I'll still be okay. That's how I do it. It's a very, very simple setup, and I have been doing it for years. I have taken photos of myself a lot because I don't always have access to somebody else to take photos of me. And one of the best ways to market yourself is to show yourself. Your audience wants to know who you are, and it's one of the main reasons why they trust you. So you have to take photos of yourself, guys. You just do. Hate to break it to you photographers, you just do. Alright guys, I hope that helped you in just a little bit of way while you're here at home and you want to get a photo of yourself and you just don't know how to. You can adapt to these things for anything. So if you want to take a family photo of yourself, if you want to take a photo of the two of you, these are all simple methods that can be used anywhere. You don't necessarily have to have a tripod. I mean, obviously it's helpful if you have a tripod, but if you don't, I would get creative and use whatever you have available to you. I really hope this helped you, and I'll talk to you next time.